those services via the internet. So in a way, it seems as if those resources are residing in the cloud, which happens to be the internet.
Yeah.
So basically, that is the basic description of the cloud.
So is it a service that is now... Is this now a service that is readily available in South Africa?
It's readily available in South Africa and anywhere because it can be accessed via the internet.
Yeah.
So those services, for example, at the moment, many of us are already using cloud services, whether knowingly and unknowingly. For example, I make an example of Google. If you do have a Google account, which many of us do, so you're already using the cloud because your email is hosted in the cloud infrastructures owned by Google.
Yeah.
And there's another service that is offered by Google, which is the Google Docs. So whereby people can collaborate in editing a single document over the internet.
Okay.
So those services are enabled by the cloud. So in a way, people are already using the cloud without knowing.
Yeah.
So it is everywhere. If you can connect to the internet, then you can access the cloud.
Okay.
Yes.
So the service is provided by who? Is it provided by Google?
Google is just an example.
Yeah.
But many IT companies offer such services. So services, they differ. First, it could be the hardware. In the cloud, you don't necessarily need to have your hardware in-house. So it can be hosted by a third party, and you access such hardware via the internet. And then another service that can be offered there are the platforms. For example, your computer that you use at home, you can transfer it into the cloud and you can be able to access it from anywhere as long as you can be able to connect to the internet.
Okay.
And then other services are software. Those software applications, like as I made an example of a Google document that you can edit online.
Yeah.
That's a software that is offered by Google as a service. So there are many service providers out there that offer cloud services.
So security concerns, are they justified?
Security concerns, basically, they are the ones that have been there traditionally, even in traditional computing settings. But they are escalated in the cloud computing as most of it resides with most of the resources resides with a third party. For you to access your data, you have to connect via the internet. And if that communication between you and the service provider can be compromised, it means your data can be stolen. And traditionally, in a traditional computer network setting, an organization would be responsible for the security of their infrastructure. But in a cloud environment, all that responsibility is transferred to a third party. So if that third party gets compromised, it means your data as well gets compromised.
So how do you know that the third party has got adequate security and the integrity of their security will not in any way be compromised?
So that is where the importance of doing a little research about the service provider that you want to choose comes into importance. So before you can entrust the third party, you need to know their profile, as well as their contracts that you sign with a third party before you can transfer your data to their infrastructure. So in those contracts that you sign, it should be clear that and should anything happen to your data that is hosted there, there will be a way you can be compensated or your data can be protected. You need assurance from the third party that your data can be, how the mechanisms that they put in place on how your data will be protected.
Okay.
That needs to be understood from the word go.
Now, last Friday, the CSIR organized a workshop with the aim of stimulating research and development in digital forensics around the subject of cloud computing. What was the result of the workshop?
The workshop went fine. Like you say, it was twofold. One, it was to inspire, it was to inspire research or for research to go on in that field. So we had two presenters. The first one came. Okay, let me just start with the challenges that we have when it comes to forensics.
Okay.
The cloud computing is distributed. So, for example, as I made an example with Google, if you store your data in Google, they won't be stored in South Africa, but they will be stored in computers that in the United States or the UK.
Okay.
So if an investigation needs to take place, say the crime was committed by somebody who resides in South Africa.
Yes.
So the data needs to be acquired as evidence. But you may have a problem acquiring such data from the United States.
Okay.
Because they've got privacy laws and all that.
Okay.
So that becomes a challenge.
A challenge.
So that workshop, yes. So that workshop was meant to have researchers coming together and share their experiences or the investigations that they carried out before.
Okay.
And then the second part of it was, like you mentioned earlier on, that for end users, the cloud remains a mystery.
A mystery. Okay.
So,
let's leave it
yes.
at that, George.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I
Okay,
appreciate